Yo, what's up? Just Emcee here, and today I'm going to do a little beat making on the 404. Going to try to break it down a little bit, show you how I take a sample, how I record it in, chop it up, maybe add some effects, and then put some drums on it. Anyways, I've pre-picked a sample. I didn't want to waste time on that. So, very first off, to record into the 404, I mean, of course, you got to have your in and output jacks here. Make sure you got audio going in, obviously. You just got to make sure you hit the external source button. Right now I have the little mic button on because that's how my microphone is coming in through this whole audio setup. That's how I figured out how to do it. You make sure external source is set. Hit record. I'll turn my mic off before I do this. But you hit record, pick which pad you want to record onto, and then hit record again, and you're good to go. Pretty sure I got what I needed there. So now that track is on pad 1. So as I play this, when it gets to where I want my first chop to be, I will hit mark. All right, pretty close. I'm a little bit off there. So to adjust that, to get the playhead exactly where I want it to be, so this chop starts exactly where I want it. Basically, to do this, I'll hit start end. Now I'm adjusting my mark point. So I can use the cutoff. It will adjust start point. Resonance, also end, you see below it, will adjust the end point. So I'm worried about the start point here. So you can see it'll show you a number. 0 is exactly where it's at. You can go up to 30 or down -30. That'll move your point forward or back depending. Positive 30 forward, -30 backwards. Honestly, that's all the way forward. So you hit start to finalize that, and now your marker has moved forward 30. If that wasn't far enough forward, you can hit start again and move your marker forward again. That's actually kind of a sweet spot. So I hit start end, I move the cutoff up 30, hit start end to finalize that. I hit start end again. Now I've moved it up to 15, so I've collectively moved it over 45 units, whatever these units are. So I will hit end again, finalize that. Now I'm starting pretty much exactly where I want that chop to be. But I'm going to chop it a little further. Before I chop it anymore, right now, the way it's at, if I hit mark on accident, I would delete that point and I'd be at square one. To actually make the cut and actually truncate this, you hit delete, mark, delete. It'll say TRC up here. Now your permanent start point is there. There's no going back from this. I hope I like what I did. I'm going to add some effects to this. I like to kind of pre-EQ my samples on the 404. To me, this has way too much high. You could use the isolator. That basically splits these 3 knobs into low, middle, and high. But you could bring out your mids and bring down your highs. Take out your lows. Maybe just take the highs all the way out. But that mid frequency is the one I really like. I don't want to kill my highs. You know, you still want them to be there. That's especially with strings. You want some high end. Bring some bass back too. It could even be fun. You can up the bass a little. This has some pretty good bass tones, so it could actually be a good way to get natural bass out of the sample rather than trying to bring another bass element in. So today I might just do that. I kind of like that. So if I click on a different effect, this will go away. So what I want to do is resample clip 1 to clip 2 so that that effect is built into the clip. Basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit resample and record at the same time. I will pick track 2, which is empty currently, to record to, and then I will hit record. That arms it ready to go. It's actually recording, but it won't start recording until you hit a track. You'll see the only track flashing at that point is track 1, because that's the only thing I have recorded onto. When I go to resample, I will pick 1, play it into 2. So here we go. Couple things I did there while I was doing that. If you hit any pad, if you want it to play through on its own, you could turn the gate on and off. That could cause problems because that basically turns it into one-shot mode, so the sample will play all the way through from start to end after you hit the button. The only thing to stop that is hit cancel 4 times to stop every sound on the 404. That can be a lifesaver. So that's gate mode. That'll play all the way through. That's one way to keep it playing. One other way that I like, if you're not trying to have just this endless play, you can hit 1 and then hit hold. Also, basically, anytime you record into this, it's going to turn it into a loop. So you can see track 2, which I haven't really messed with, is automatically just a loop. Track 1 was, but I didn't want it to loop while I was resampling into track 2, so I turned loop off after I started recording it. So I've recorded into 2. You can see this is looped. I'm going to turn it off. Unless I'm doing a drum loop, I typically don't use the loop function on here. Drum loops, I might use it a lot. So if I want to take it one step further, it's track 16, or effect 16. Vinyl sim, I like to keep my list here. A lot of people sticker them up, but I think it's nice to know. There's a few ways you can get to this effect. You could hit MFX and turn the drive level knob, and that moves through your 24 effects. We're looking for 16. I don't do it this way. Rather than doing that, you can hold MFX and hit the buttons. That'll move through the first 12 effects. If you want to get to the second 12 effects, hold MFX and DJ effects looper at the same time, and you can move through the second 12 effects. Classic vinyl sim. It adds all that crazy, I don't know, distorted, wobbly noise and ring and whatever. Everyone's favorite 404 effect. I can't lie, I love it. It sounds great. Now I'm going to resample that into 3, same exact way I did 1 and 2. Part of why resampling's so good, because now that vinyl sim effect is built into 3, and I don't have this crackling going on the whole time. So now I've set up my sample. That's the tone I want it to be. I'm pretty good to start chopping it. So you have your banks, A through J. I'm going to move the first 2 samples to a different bank so that I don't have to deal with them anymore. I'm going to just move them to F because it's on the same button as A. There's a couple ways you could do it. I could copy these chops to a new bank and then come back and delete them, or I could just exchange them to the new bank. It's a very similar process. So if you hit function and 2, you can move your pads to a different location. So I'm going to move 1 and 2 on bank A to 1 and 2 on bank F. I'm on bank A, I hit function exchange, grab 1, over to F, pick 1, and then hit record. I'll do that same thing with chop 2, exchange, 2 to 2F, record to finalize, go back to bank A. Now my main chop is on 3, which I don't like that, so I'll go function exchange, move 3 to 1, hit record, and I'm done. So now from this point, I'm going to actually chop this up and give myself some variety to work with. You use mark to set those points. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So when I feel my chop 2, I'm going to hit mark and set that point. Yeah, I like that. I've set that mark exactly where I want it to be. That's what chop 2 needs to be, but now I need to get it to chop 2. What I'll do here is go function copy, pick 1, move it to 2, and hit record to finalize. Now it's actually copying it over. So 1 and 2 are now the same, but I want 1 to be back to the original chop. Now on chop 1, remove the mark. You got your 2 chops. Chop 2, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to chop it and actually cut this. So delete, mark, delete to do that. So now I'll move to chop 3, same thing again. I like something like that. So at this point, I want to basically just come up with some drums for this. What I'm probably going to do is go to another bank, a whole new bank here. So I'm on B, nothing's here. I'm going to build a drum rack, basically. I'm going to pull up some drum samples. There's a couple ways to get them onto the 404 too. There's the SP404SX wave converter, which is like a pretty basic program for 404 SD cards, so you can put data onto them or get data off. That's really all it's for. I've loaded up drums that way. It's probably the cleanest, nicest way to do it, but today I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to record them in just like any other sample. On my computer, I'm pulling up a sample library of some sort. Let's find some kicks first. All right. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to record that into 9. I want to play my drums down here, so I'm going to record it into 9. Record, pick 9. All right, there it is. It's really delayed. So now I want to use the mark function to chop this at the right point. All right, that's pretty good. A good way to test this, whether you're close or not, I mean, how quick you can repeat it. Something I use to just basically test the beginning of my chops is the sub pad. All this is if I hit pad 9, I can hit sub pad to also play pad 9. I'll go to my chops. So 5, 6. Sub pad just mimics whatever pad you played last, so this is really helpful actually with drums. If I can play it really fast between these two, that's a pretty good chop. For drums, anyways. That's very drum specific. Delete the mark point, chop it. All right, I like that kick. I'm going to keep it at that. Move on to snare. I actually really like this one with the clap here. So I'm going to just record that in. Same thing, I'm going to chop it, try to get it close. So delete the mark point, turn loop off, but I'm also going to turn gate off, so that'll play all the way through every time. Kind of like that shaker sound. Let me try that again. Turn loop and gate off. So back on my chops, kind of get a feeling of what I want the tempo to be. Since I'm using the resample method and I'm going to play my drums in as a resampled drum loop that I played myself, I kind of want to just naturally get the tempo. So I think that's the most basic of what I'm going to do, so that's where I want the tempo to be. I'm just kind of keeping that in mind. I'll use the resample method here. Hit resample and record at the same time, pick a track, and then play my loop into it. All right, I think that was pretty good. Yeah, like I actually like the last 2 loops there I played. So I'm going to use those. To chop an end point can be a little difficult. You have to first set a begin point. At the beginning of where I want my loop to start, I'm going to hit mark, keep playing this, and then I'm going to hit mark at the end of where I want it to be as well. So that's how you set a beginning end-to-end cut point. So give it a shot. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a little delayed, so I'm going to just cut a tiny bit at the end off. So same as before, you hit the start end level, but now I'm going to move the end position. I'm just going to move it back, I don't know, maybe like 4 points, see if that feels better. Yeah. Pretty happy with that. So now that I've set my beginning and end mark, I will just delete, mark, delete to get rid of the cut points. So now I'll copy this to bank 1 so I can play it with my chops. I hit function copy, which is 1, and then 1 is on my pad, so I'll hit 1. You heard the drums, that's what I've selected, but I don't want to be on bank B, so I'll go over to A and I'll put it on 12. For drums, something that I found really helpful is just turn the gate off once you get your drum loop. If loop is off, it'll play all the way through and then just re-trigger. But if loop is on, it'll turn it on and off. So then when I'm playing my chops, a little late, but also I'd kind of like my drums to hit a little harder. So I don't know. There's several ways to do this. You can add some distortion, some saturation, whatever. Just play around with the effects and see what works. Compression. The distortion effect. It's kind of nice. Big difference. So I might want to record those, back into pad 11 with the effect so that I can do effects on the whole track. You can only do one effect at a time. So, you can't have an effect on pad 12 and then put a different effect on pad 1 or something. Yeah, so now I got my drums with effects built in, all my chops. I'm ready to go. If I wanted to add an effect to the whole thing now, I could do that. So I could apply it to, my pads manually by holding remain and picking which pads, turn them on and off, whatever. Secret little tip I found out the other day. If you hit remain and then hit the effect you want to use, it'll apply it to all of them. So if I want to add a filter to everything, hit remain and filter. You can hear it on my voice because I'm recording in through the 404, so it applies it even to the external source. So, could add my looper effect. I like to. You gotta play with the effects on this thing. I'm not gonna mess with that too much, but yeah. Remain and then hit your effect, applies it to everything. Recording your final product can be a little bit tricky. A workaround is to then hook your unit up to your DAW and just record into your DAW, or get a little field recorder and then record into that. A lot of people buy a second 404 and just record from one end to the other. So it's kind of up to you how you do it. Have fun with it. That's the main point. So yeah, that's about it. I'm going to see if I can turn this into a beat. Stay creative. That'll move.